Hey there, loved ones, Dana here, otherwise known by some as Dana Spirit Butterfly. I'm here offering a channeled video today for those of you who are interested in energy wisdom. We are also, when I use the term we, it's not just me in this dialogue, there's also spirit alongside, and spirit takes a variety of forms. So the spirit energies that flow through me right now are usually aligned with Earth, the Earth Mother, what I call Earth Magic, with Rose, because I'm a Rose channeler. So I work with the frequency of the plant spirit of Rose, and also what I call the Sacred Feminine Rising, which is basically a collective energy presence that represents the feminine voice as it resonates into what we're becoming, because these energies actually evolve as we move through space and time. So as we're offering an energy forecast, hopefully this will help you to connect more strongly with the feminine voice that you have, whether you're a man or a woman. We like to use the term woman. We all come from wombs, and so we all have a connection to feminine language, culture, and environmental factors. It is just simply true. And so as I channel this video, I just want to acknowledge that I'm on Bundjalung land. And so I pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging, recognise that sovereignty was never ceded, and that I am an Anglo-Celtic woman who was born on Kaurna country, otherwise known as Adelaide, South Australia. So at the moment I reside here, and this land is healing. This land is really beautiful, and it's supporting me as I journey as this sacred woman, offering you a dialogue. Hopefully that supports you on your own journey. So let's start. Spirit is just reminding me that we all do come from the earth, and we all are connected to it, whether or not we believe it or not. And when we say that, it is a bit difficult for us to fully understand how we're connected to the earth when we rely on stimulus that belongs to the vision of others. And when we say the vision of others, we're talking about media. And so we want to land on media just for now, and just to acknowledge that media as a thing is a form of communication. Media is often a communication that is delivered through a lens or with a particular focus. And so everything that you hear, see, witness, notice, that you absorb through media, whether it's social media, whether it's television, whether it's film or books, all of these things offer a particular voice or a particular perspective. All of them belong to the earth because they are here, because they are present and available. But their reflections are reflections still through a particular voice. And so the first point we want to land on right now is just to acknowledge that we all have an individual voice, but we also do form a part of the fabric of our collective communities. Spirit just corrected me. And the communities, when we use the term communities, there are a lot of different types of communities. You know, you might belong to a band, and that's a community. For me, I go to an ecstatic dance thing every Sunday, and for me, that's a community of mine. But your community might also be those that you study with. Your community might be your actual blood family, or those that feel like family to you. Your community always includes the individuals that live on the same landmass that you do. There's always a connection there. And so when we talk about earth magic and about the intrinsic sense of self that orientates itself with safety and wellness, we need to acknowledge that we live in an environment with individuals in a geographical space that impacts us and that we have impact on. And so we really want to emphasize today specifically that as you're journeying across the next month and a half, because we're also including the moon cycle here, we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But as you orientate yourself across the next month, there's a lot of individuals who are traveling. There are a lot of individuals who are thinking of traveling, and there are a lot of individuals who are starting to make their way into the festive season. And as you move into that festive season, there's a lot of grief that starts to move. And when we say grief in itself comes through a variety of lenses. And sometimes that grief might be closely attached to a desire or a thirst that you have for a particular outcome. And so as I say that, I want to kind of bring us back a little bit more to the juxtaposition of what we just said about traveling and being aware of your local home environment. Often these types of transitory periods, because we're also at the end of the year heading into the new year, often there's a question that is raised around what home means for you, what your locality means, i.e. who you are, what your personality is, what your desires are, what you want for yourself, how you want to behave across this period of time. There's all of those questions relating to who you are and what home is for you, where safety lies for you, and also what else might be out there. And so as I say that, you know, the new moon on the 13th of December is a Sagittarius new moon. We are already in this solar sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is an energetic presence in the environment that we are existing in. It is very expansive. It can be very outgoing, and it really does like to blah out what is going on for the purposes of sharing it. And so it's a sign that's quite outward looking and quite expansive. And at the moment, there's a lot of this energy of people saying stuff that they mean from their perspective that is true for them, but might be triggering for you. And we say this not to say that necessarily what people are going to say is going to trigger you, but more to indicate that it's quite typical across this period of time for a lot of people to feel a sense of questioning around what safety is for them, what feels secure for them, what relationships are, and how to behave. And when I land on how to behave, I feel a really strong sense of recognition that this particular year, 2023, has been really asking a lot of us to take greater ownership of how we behave. And when I say that, I'm aware that particularly in the last 3 months, there's been a lot of dialogue on the level of the human mind for a lot of individuals around being able to be themselves without necessarily offending others. And this conversation really does lean into that whole awareness of what social codes are, what expectations are within your community, how it is that we expect people to behave, and how it is that we're expected to behave. When I say that, some of you will feel the pressure simply of the suggestion of us having a conversation around social code. And if that's you, I invite you to pause this video and to maybe just tune into and ask, like, give yourself a bit of space around what that dialogue is for you. Ask yourself, how old am I when you're feeling that sense of trigger? And what is that part of me needing to communicate? And if you do get there and you manage to do that, and what comes out is grievous for you, or it makes you feel like you're sad or angry or frustrated, I am going to say, if you can, please give yourself permission to feel those feelings. Feeling the feelings is a necessary part of evolving your emotional self into maturity. So if you wish to get in a better state of ownership of your own emotional well-being, one of the steps by necessity has to be you firstly taking ownership of the things that are triggering you. And ownership doesn't mean projecting at other people. It means having an inside thought of, wow, I noticed when that person said that, I'm feeling something in my body that doesn't feel good. And when I notice that, it is my responsibility to pay attention to that, because it's my responsibility to work with it to find some level of satiation or satisfaction, or to resolve that energy. It's my responsibility. That's what ownership is. It's not about saying that I deserve to have all of these things and you're not providing that. Okay, this is projection, just so that we're clear. So if you're noticing you're having these conversations with individuals, whatever, family members, particularly this time of year, and you're noticing things being triggered, please forgive yourself for the feelings. A lot of us have unresolved trauma or distress left over from our past experiencing. And when I use the term past experiencing, sometimes it is a past experience that is beyond your physical life. So this means that it'll either be an ancestral inherited program, or it might be a past life experiencing. Now, we mentioned that not for you to avoid now. The irony about all of that past experiencing is that we can only work with it now. We can only work with it with you now, in this moment, as you show up, because otherwise we can't heal it. So for the next month, we're saying there's going to be a lot of sensitivity in the space. And this means that there's going to be some people who just seem unavailable for connection and just seem unavailable for an open dialogue. And so we're asking you, because of the way the planet is situated right now, is to go gently and softly with this experience, whatever it is that you're experiencing. Start to slow down your own sense awareness so that you can stay present with yourself and what's being experienced without falling too far into drama and dialogue. And some of the drama and dialogue sometimes just ends up being endless mind chatter. And if you suffer from endless mind chatter, I want to welcome you to the extraordinarily large number of individuals who experience that phenomena, because it's actually really common. But a lot of the reason why we don't think it's common is because we experience it, but we don't notice other people experiencing that because they're in their own heads and we're on our own. So Spirit has just given me the word conflict management. So we want to just talk briefly about conflict management. And the reason why we want to talk about conflict management is because there are a lot of ways that you can approach conflicts in your life that assist you to find some harmonic resonance or to find the healing that you need. And sometimes the two aren't the same. So sometimes the healing that we need isn't about avoiding conflict. Sometimes the healing that we need is actually staying present with the conflict. And this is what a lot of us struggle with. And those types of struggles, they really deserve your attention. If you struggle with an inability to stay with conflict and to hear it to the end, and I'm going to wave my hands because I've inherited a lot of ancestral legacy around avoidance of conflict, because, Anglo-Saxon Celtic lineage. It's very strongly woven within our cultural value system. Then it will take some time to unravel that as a habit. It's not like there's one thing that you do and it goes away. What you need is a steady practice of home, a steady practice of returning you back to home. And if that's something that you desire, I may be able to help you with that. I have a number of things coming up that should help you with this particular paradigm. But of course, I'm not the only person offering these things, so you do you. Always important for you to find where that is for you. Spirit's just brought me back to my notes. My notes really just are about time-space continuum. So let's just talk quickly about the lunar cycle. And so this video is mostly for December. We will do another one probably close to the end of January, because often that time period offers its own unique energetic, and it tends to come in and there's a massive turnover of energetic presence, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do across that period of time. What we want to talk about though is that, we already mentioned the new moon in Sagittarius, and that new moon, look, we're already in the solar sign of Sagittarius, but the new moon in Sagittarius will bring to us a lot more reflection or availability of how we're behaving in our own social constructs. So what this might look like is it will look like you just becoming aware that you just had a conversation with someone and there was some tension or there was something that didn't feel quite right. And that awareness is actually gold. That awareness is the start of a journey to that emotional maturity, to finding that safe place to be able to be in your sphere and to communicate with people in a way that is more likely to assure you that you're living the life that you desire for you. Long journey that one, but it is possible. So the new moon in Sagittarius is on the 13th of December here in Australia. So it might be on the 12th if you're in the States. And it's followed really closely by Mercury Retrograde. And Mercury retrogrades, like all of these astrological kind of movements, they offer us like a container for a particular kind of dialogue. They are not in themselves like a predictor of who you are all the way through, because we do have an aspect of us that's omnipresent, that's always love and always connected to a greater unity consciousness. And then there's the aspects or layers of us that we identify as the ego, and with ego comes personality. And so with personality, there's a lot of us that have certain personality traits that might be quirky or considered weird by some people. And when you have those personality traits, sometimes your soul will find it really difficult to find a sense of belonging or a connection to any other person that feels safe and well for you, where you can just relax and be yourself. It's actually really vital. Like I found for me, when I do meet those individuals where there is that ease, I find now, because I know better, because I'm more emotionally mature, that I do prioritize my energetic attention for those particular individuals, because when I spend time with them, their reflection allows me to feel more anchored and grounded in my own voice, and I feel more powerful there. And for a lot of us, we convince ourselves that there's nobody out there like us, and then we journey in this kind of paradigm of disconnect and separation, and it's actually not true. It's not true. There's so many aspects of you that is extraordinary, that can be used as a bridge to connection, to a sense of belonging, that you're actually undermining yourself if you hold that as a belief system. But that notwithstanding, it is quite a common thing, just like mind chatter. The Mercury retrograde, just to bring that into context, the Mercury retrograde is typically a time period where the personality aspects of us that are our ego voicing itself, our personal identity voicing itself, they seem to be in contrast to that which we're noticing in the external world. And that's because Mercury is the messenger, is the ruler of communication. And so when we're in a Mercury retrograde, it appears that our connection and our ability to communicate openly and freely with individuals seems to be going backwards. And this can be that you're in a relationship where it feels great and then suddenly it's not working for some reason. Or it might be that, you had a job lined up and suddenly it cancels, or you're finding that all the things that you're trying to meet, you're just not getting there in time. And so these types of environmental factors, they create an energetic that can make it quite challenging for us to feel safe and well in our experience. And the answer there really is that it is an exercise in recognizing how important it is for you to stay connected to your truth and to your own inherent wisdom, which requires you to listen to what your dialogue is and to understand it better. And so when there's a misunderstanding in the external world, it's often a calling to get to know yourself better. It's often a calling to find more steadiness in your own system. And so the Mercury retrograde, 14th of December, it goes for about 3 weeks. So it's going to carry us all the way through to the new year. Please don't be afraid of the Mercury retrograde, okay? Some of us are more prone to miscommunication than others. Again, it comes back to ownership. It comes back to you owning you. The next timestamp that's really important that I get quite excited about, and I'm getting quite excited because I feel like Spirit and I are going to do something for women for the solstice, which is on the 22nd of December. It'll be the 21st of December. But typically, the December solstices is anywhere between the 21st and the 23rd usually. But this year it lands on the 22nd of December in Australia, about 1:30 p.m. And so at that time, it is the time period where here in Australia, we have the most light available for us. So it's where we basically have the longest day. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's the opposite. It's actually the time period where you have the least amount of light, so the shortest day and the longest night. And so during this period of time, it can be a really good opportunity for us to work ritualistically with some energetics around clarity and really anchoring what it is that we want. And it's perfectly timed just before the New Year portal or window. So it's a really good time period for us to do things, and I'm going to offer something online for women only. So stay tuned for that. I will put the information down in the notes attached to the video in the YouTube channel. And then that is followed quite closely by a full moon in Cancer on the 22nd of December. And you know, again, 27th, sorry, of December, it's just that time period window where it's like festive season, so much going on. Cancer being very much about home and hearth and making sure that you're in your own emotional wellness. It's a really good time period for you to set up an environment that assures your own sense of well-being. And, you know, when I say that, it's also the time period where if you're not taking steps to make sure that you're providing yourself with some support in that way, you will probably feel destabilized by the full moon energy, because the full moon energy can be very destabilizing. But again, I just bring us back again to this idea that these are all aspects of self that are asking to be voiced so that we can witness them, so that we can learn about them, and so that we can go deeper with our own awareness and ability to hold light. And when I say hold light, light is awareness, light is technology, light is where I have clarity and I know what that is. Alongside of that, or the flip side of that, is that when I hold a lot of light, I also start to become more aware of the shadow aspects and the things that we don't know about. And that's the sacred mystery, which is, you know, part of the whole psychic landscape that I teach. So we're going to wrap up this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that this is helpful for you. I hope that it helps you with what's coming as an idea. We also just want to express that we all have a unique voice and a unique alignment, and it's really your responsibility to own your own. And when I say that, there are so many people who wiggle out of that. You know, they confuse an idea of ownership with a sense of egoistic righteousness. And we all have that muscle, you know, we all have that egoistic righteousness. We all have a sense of justice. We all have a sense of combative pride. Those aspects are wielded by all of us. It's a part of the human condition. Please don't lie to yourself. You are sometimes totally blind to reality because you can't see past your own nose. It is just endemic. It's the way that we're designed. It is by divine design. So allowing yourself to recognize that those aspects do exist in you and being able to dialogue with them with your own inner witness, being able to go, okay, cool, I noticed I just did that, and I realized that that might be me not really taking full ownership of myself, and instead I'm just trying to be assertive. Assertiveness is great in the right context, but there's a balance point that often gets lost, and usually comes down to avoidance, comes down to avoiding truly listening to that which is here and now, in this moment, in any moment actually. And we are carrying currently collectively a legacy of nervous systems that don't know how to hold ourselves accountable to that inner presence and to really take ownership of self, to be present with the nuts and bolts that you have in your possession, to say, this is me, this is it, and I accept it all. So anyway, Spirit's just saying that's maybe a part of another journey. Just know that if you feel like you're a bit uncertain across this phase, if you're feeling like you need a little bit of support or guidance, I am able to channel for you on your behalf. And when I channel, me and my spiritual intelligence accesses yours in a way that assists us to reflect you, so that you can maybe see those aspects of self that you're having difficulty seeing, so that you can see beyond your own nose. So if you're noticing certain phenomena in your life that aren't quite offering you with clarity, or if you're noticing that there's just something not moving in your life, then please book a session. You can do so via my website, which is www.danaspiritbutterfly.com.au. That's D-A-N-A, Spirit Butterfly, so Dana, not Dana. And there's a book now button on my front page. There's also some more information there about the services that I offer, and also about the circles. So please tune in. I invite you. I would love to read for you. We would love to show you the power of spirit. So until our next video, please stay well, take care, and remember that you are love. Bye.